I supposed to celebrate my wealth when there are blacks being laid off and fired on?
Okay. He did his thing with that. For starters, the plot twist of... All right, y'all, we back at it like a bad habit. We're about to react to poet JonKeL once again. This man's been killing it. I've been telling y'all for the longest, if you are a subscriber who wants to showcase your poetry or rap on my channel, DM me on Instagram, message me through my business email. Both are in the description below. He took the opportunity to do so, and so I've been reacting to him time and time again. Like, this ain't a fake opportunity, y'all. I'm legit about this, right? So, cost of living. Let's not waste any time. All right, let's see what you got.
The scales are unbalanced. With my paycheck in my right hand and the bills in my left, I'm struggling to make these ends meet. So tell me, how am I supposed to afford the cost of living? Black. My ATM card says insufficient, and no monetary denominations will be accepted. I will need a treasure chest full of courage and a strong backbone to carry the burden of being black. My FICO score only gets me through the door. The darker percentage of my pigmentation will get the annual death rate raised, while my people take more losses and they get more gains. Whoever signed the Emancipation Proclamation must have had their other hand behind their back with their fingers crossed, because slavery never ended. The overseers live on Capitol Hill, where the plantation is still a White House. You can't buy freedom with a money tree covered in the blood of our ancestors. That's why Lady Justice wears a blindfold, so she can't see the horror anymore, because when a black life is taken, even the Reaper weeps.
Ooh. I'll stop him there. This man's talking about how I can't make ends meet, and it's not just me, it's a lot of black folks in this country, right? I can relate to that. I'm struggling to pay my bills on the daily, and I'm really grinding at this poetry thing, like for real. Now, how much of that is attributed to me being black? I don't know. You know, it's hard to always quantify these things, but we can still, at the very least, acknowledge that the slavery of the past is still affecting the present. He even goes as far as to say that slavery never really ended. The argument he's making is that it really just changed forms. You see what I'm saying? Yes, the Emancipation Proclamation proclaimed us free. Legally, we are free in the sense that we're not physically owned and forced to do things in that same way. But at the same time, the financial burdens that are placed on black folks in a lot of institutionalized ways cause people to be indebted to those same figures nowadays, as if they're still owned. That's real. And he's saying, look, it's looking so bad out here. I can see why Lady Justice got that cloth around her face. She got this blindfold, if you know what I'm talking about. And I've always personally wondered why. One argument people would make is that, okay, Lady Justice is blindfolded because she has no bias. He's making the artistic argument that instead it's because she's seeing so much injustice. That's why Lady Justice is blindfolding herself, right? Lady Justice also holds these scales, which he mentioned at the start of the poem, talking about how he's holding his bills in one hand and his paycheck in his other hand, and it's not balancing out. Like, the paycheck isn't enough to cover the bills. You see what I'm saying? And he can't make those two ends meet. Like making ends meet, right? At the end of the month, having enough to be able to cover your rent and stuff like that. So yeah, really good wordplay there. Let's keep going.
Blood of our ancestors, that's why Lady Justice wears a blindfold, so she can't see the horror anymore, because when a black life is taken, even the Reaper weeps. I once heard an investor say that he had to liquefy some assets in order to increase his profit margins. I later found out that he was really a cop, and I was just another one of his assets. I mean, the closest thing to a free vacation is killing a black man and getting paid administrative leave. What kind of mind does it take to believe that one life has more value than another based on color? I could have $1 million green in the bank and my accounts would still be in the red because of all the bloodshed. How am I supposed to celebrate my wealth when there are blacks being laid off and fired on?
Okay. He did his thing with that. For starters, the plot twist of the investor trying to liquefy his assets, that investor actually being a cop, is really telling. Just as an investor has certain profit margins he has to reach, in the same way, police officers tend to have quotas, right? Quotas being a number of traffic stops or arrests that they have to make in order to fulfill their requirements for the job. You see what I'm saying? And in the same way, just as an investor will have sneaky tactics to take advantage of his clients and liquefy those assets from the clients, police officers will go out of their way and target certain individuals in order to meet their quota. And if they already have bias against those individuals, they're going to liquefy those assets, which really just means shoot them and make them bleed. Do you see what he did there? Bro is genius. And then he says arguably my favorite line in the entire poem. What good is all the wealth if at the end of the day, black folks are still getting laid off and fired on? So you have laid off, fired on. Okay, so laid off and fired are synonyms. They're synonymous with one another. But then you have on and off, which are antonyms of one another. And having antonyms so close to each other is called antithesis. That's where you juxtapose two opposing ideas. You just cram them against each other so people notice the drastic difference. I think that was really clever, especially the pause between fired and on. That really helped you see that he's not just talking about getting fired from your job or laid off, but you're also getting fired on as in shot up. You see what I'm saying?
Wealth when there are blacks being laid off and fired on. Hoods raised in memory of Trayvon Martin. Hoods raised, showing their true faces. Hoods raised, blocking the view of police dashboard cams. This seems just as unbelievable as one of those pyramid scams, yet we buy into it anyway. More funeral homes than schools in the hood. This is not the future I want to invest in. Maybe it was just a reflection, but in the right light, the Trump Towers look just like a burning cross. Who are the beneficiaries to this policy? My 40 acres and a mule has tripled in value, and I still haven't gotten a return on my investment, but I've been blessed with some things that money can't buy, like hope, faith, and resiliency. Because even if I'm not, some of the best things in life are still free.
Okay, let's break down that last portion. I want to touch on the hood bars real quick. He talks about how hoods get raised, right? Like raising your hood to cover your face, like Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was a black teenager who was killed on the streets because like, that's really it. He was killed in cold blood, right? So there's the hood reference there. Hood can also be alluding to, well, growing up in the hood or low income neighborhoods that are historically known for black people living there, right? So you have the hood reference there, but then also hoods raised like the Ku Klux Klan, right? They wear hoods a lot of times, like these white hoodies. But then finally the hood of a police car being raised to cover the sirens, right? Like, do you see how layered that was? Just absolute genius. And the Ku Klux Klan reference doesn't just stop at the hoods being raised. It continues where he talks about how the Trump Towers, in a certain kind of light, almost look like a burning cross. The Ku Klux Klan would burn crosses historically to scare and intimidate black folks. When he mentions 40 acres and a mule, after slaves were freed, a legislation was passed that every black male would be entitled to 40 acres and a mule in order to start their own life and do their own agriculture to, well, raise a family and live on. Well, that promise wasn't entirely met pretty much at all. Like, not at all. Some people kind of got it, but then at some point the government's like, wait, what are we doing? We acting like these are human beings or something. So yeah, that promise was really never met. And now obviously real estate over time becomes more and more desirable and more valuable. But as those assets are rising, which should have belonged to those black folks, they don't get any penny from that. But I like how he didn't end the poem on a sad note. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Not every poem needs a happy ending. But I like that he expressed, in spite of all these things, I still have hope because the best things in life are free. JonKeL, beautiful. especially like I really appreciated this given that I'm going through my own financial struggles, really trying to make it, bro. I'm trying to make it. And I'm not even gonna go as far as to say all that's attributed to like my color. I'm not the kind of person to blame everything on my race, and neither is JonKeL in all honesty. He's really just talking about how the institutions in this country are set up for black folks to fail. That's really what he's bringing up for the most part, you know? So I really enjoyed this. Hope you all did too. Like I say, every single video, send me your poems, send me your raps, all right? There's details that need to be hashed out regarding how the collaboration would work of me showcasing your work on the channel and reacting to it. So make sure to DM me what you're looking for, and I'll tell you what I'm looking for as well. With all that said, JonKeL, can't wait to check out more of your stuff soon. And with that, deuces.